Let me tell you a story that has stayed with me for many years. A man walked into my clinic just before lunchtime. He was 72 years old. His name was Thomas. He had a warmth to him, a kind face, the kind of man who smiles even when his back hurts. He sat down slowly and said he felt a little more tired than usual. Maybe it was just age, he guessed. We chatted, I ran some checks, but everything looked fairly normal. Blood pressure a little high, nothing alarming. He told me about his wife. Their plans to visit their granddaughter next month. He laughed and said, "I just want to live long enough to see her graduate." That was the last time I saw him. 2 days later, his heart stopped. No warning, no second chance. When a 72-year-old man dies suddenly, it shakes you. And it's not as rare as people think. Sudden death, particularly in seniors, is often brushed off as fate or aging. But in many cases, there were signs. Subtle, easy to dismiss signs. And if we can learn to recognize them, we can save lives. The first and most overlooked warning sign is unexplained fatigue. I am not talking about the tiredness that comes after gardening or walking the dog. I mean the kind of fatigue that feels unnatural, like a deep heaviness in the bones, a tiredness that doesn't go away with rest. Studies published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society show that seniors who experience new, persistent fatigue have a significantly higher risk of cardiovascular events. It's because the heart, when under stress or beginning to fail, cannot pump efficiently. Oxygen delivery falters, muscles starve. That tired feeling is not laziness. It can be the heart crying out for help. The second sign is shortness of breath, and again, it's often misinterpreted. People say, "I'm just getting older," or "maybe I'm out of shape." But when you feel winded while doing simple things like tying your shoes or walking to the mailbox, that is not normal. The heart and lungs work as a team. When the heart cannot keep up, fluid backs up into the lungs. That makes breathing harder. Research in the New England Journal of Medicine found that nearly 60% of elderly patients who died of sudden cardiac arrest had reported breathlessness in the weeks prior. It's a red flag we cannot afford to ignore. The third sign, chest discomfort. Now, I'm not only talking about crushing chest pain like we see in the movies. In older adults, heart-related chest pain can be more subtle. It may feel like pressure, fullness, a burning sensation. Sometimes it radiates to the neck, jaw, or shoulder, and sometimes it feels like indigestion. I've had patients tell me it felt like gas. They took antacids and waited it out. One of them, a 74-year-old man named George, told me he thought it was just something he ate. He didn't come in for help. He died in his sleep that night. This is not meant to frighten, but to make you listen to your body. When something feels off, especially in the chest, you must act. The fourth sign is what we call syncope, a fancy word for fainting or nearly fainting. Many seniors chalk it up to standing up too fast, dehydration. But a sudden drop in consciousness, even if brief, can signal a problem with the heart's rhythm or blood flow. The American Heart Association reports that syncope is often a precursor to fatal arrhythmias in elderly patients. When the heart's electrical system starts to falter, it doesn't always give a grand warning. Sometimes it just flickers, and one of those flickers can turn into silence. Then there is the fifth sign, irregular heartbeat, or what many describe as fluttering, skipping beats, a racing pulse without cause. You may feel it when you lie down, or when you're just sitting quietly. Often seniors ignore it unless it becomes painful. But irregular heartbeats, especially atrial fibrillation, dramatically increase the risk of stroke and sudden cardiac death. Atrial fibrillation causes the upper chambers of the heart to quiver instead of pumping properly. Blood can pool, clots can form, and those clots can travel to the brain or block an artery. It's estimated by the Framingham Heart Study that individuals with atrial fibrillation are 5 times more likely to suffer a stroke. That is not a small number. Finally, the sixth sign, swelling in the legs, ankles, or feet. Most people don't associate this with sudden death, but fluid buildup is often a symptom of heart failure. When the heart struggles to pump effectively, fluid leaks into surrounding tissues. The lower extremities, because of gravity, tend to swell first. A study from the European Society of Cardiology highlighted that peripheral edema in the elderly, was a key predictor of underlying cardiac dysfunction. When you press on the swollen area and it leaves a dent, that's called pitting edema. It's not just a cosmetic issue, it's the body waving a flag. All of these signs can hide in plain sight, and that is what makes them so dangerous. They are easy to explain away, easy to minimize, but together they paint a picture that says the heart is struggling, and in some cases, about to stop. Let me speak plainly. We do not have to be helpless. We are not at the mercy of fate. These warning signs are the body's way of giving us a chance, and time, once lost, cannot be regained. Think of Thomas again. He was kind. He was hopeful. He just wanted to see his granddaughter graduate. He told me he felt a little more tired than usual. What if we had looked deeper? What if we had ordered that stress test, that echocardiogram? Maybe the hidden issue would have shown itself. Maybe his story would have had more pages. That is what weighs on me, and that is why I am telling you this now. Seniors, listen to your body. I cannot stress this enough. If something feels different, unusual, persistent, say something. Go see your doctor. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Insist on being heard. Your heart is a remarkable organ, but it has limits, and it rarely fails without warning. Family members, children, caregivers. Watch for these signs in your loved ones. Do not assume they are just slowing down. Ask how they feel. Watch how they walk. Listen to the silence between their words. The people we love often downplay their symptoms because they don't want to worry us, but silence can be deadly. Medical professionals, nurses, care providers, we must do better. We must learn to hear not only what patients say, but what they do not say. We must remember that a kind man smiling through his fatigue may still be in danger, and that a life can end not with a bang, but with a sigh in the night. Sudden death in the elderly is not always sudden. It's often preceded by whispers, gentle nudges, hints that something is not right. It's our job to listen to those whispers, because behind each of them is a person with stories left to tell, laughs left to share, birthdays left to attend. Let me leave you with this. In medicine, we are trained to look for patterns, but the most important pattern is not always in the data. It's in the human experience. That look in the eye, that subtle change in energy, that one more nap than usual. When you put all the pieces together, you see a picture that's clearer than any lab result. And sometimes that picture says, time to act. Please do not wait for the perfect storm. Do not wait for the crushing pain. Most of the time, it doesn't come. Sudden death comes quietly. But if we listen, if we stay aware, we can interrupt that silence. We can choose life. If you're reading this and you're feeling something isn't quite right in your body, tell someone. If you've noticed any of the 6 signs, unexplained fatigue, shortness of breath, chest discomfort, fainting, irregular heartbeat, swelling in the legs, please don't wait. I think of Thomas often. I think of his laugh, his hope, and I think of the question he asked before leaving my office. Do you think I'll be all right, Doc? At the time, I smiled and told him yes, but now I wish I had looked harder, dug deeper, asked more. You don't have to be a doctor to save a life. You just have to pay attention. And when the heart speaks, even in a whisper, we must listen. Because in that listening, we may find not just a warning, but a second chance. Why do so many seniors ignore these warnings? Let me begin by saying something that may surprise you. One of the biggest obstacles to saving lives in older adults is not a lack of medicine or technology, it is silence. Silence from the very people we are trying to help. Silence from seniors who feel something isn't right in their bodies, but choose not to say a word. I've seen this more times than I can count. A patient in their late 60s or 70s comes in after something serious has already happened. A stroke, a heart attack, sometimes even after a collapse. And when we ask if there were any symptoms before, many say yes. They were tired all the time. They felt their heart fluttering. They had shortness of breath or swelling in their ankles. But they did not say anything. They ignored it, brushed it off. Or worse, they kept it to themselves. So why do so many seniors ignore these warnings? The answer is not simple, but it is deeply human. One reason is that many older adults see these symptoms as just part of getting older. They think, of course I'm tired. I'm 73. Or, of course my legs ache. That's just age. And while aging naturally brings some changes, not all symptoms are normal. Not all changes should be dismissed. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that more than 50% of seniors who later suffered a major cardiac event had experienced symptoms weeks before but did not seek medical attention. That is a staggering number, and it tells us that perception is part of the problem. When you expect to feel worse as you age, you stop questioning what that worse really means. There's another piece to this. Many seniors fear being a burden. I've heard it directly from their mouths. I didn't want to bother anyone. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. This mindset, while coming from a place of kindness, can be deadly. By not speaking up, they remove their chance to get help early. It's heartbreaking because the people who love them would give anything to have that time back. That one moment to say, let's go to the doctor now. But that moment is gone when the warning is ignored. And then there's pride, a kind of quiet resilience that older generations were raised with. Many seniors lived through hard times, wars, economic hardship, loss. They learned to be tough, to push through pain, to not complain. That mindset can serve them well in many areas of life, but not when it comes to health. A study out of the University of Michigan showed that older adults, especially men, were significantly less likely to report early symptoms of heart failure because they did not want to appear weak. They viewed it as complaining, as admitting vulnerability. But here's the truth. Speaking up about a symptom is not weakness. It is strength. It is the act of someone who wants to live, who values life enough to protect it. There is also the issue of trust in healthcare. Some seniors have had negative experiences. Maybe a doctor dismissed their concerns in the past. Maybe they were told nothing was wrong when something clearly was. These experiences leave scars, emotional ones. So they learn to stay quiet, to doubt their own instincts. They learn that speaking up might not lead to answers, so why bother? I've seen this too. A 70-year-old woman once told me, "They said it was in my head, so I stopped asking." Months later, we found she had been living with an undiagnosed heart condition. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But it must be rebuilt if we want to protect lives. Let's not forget the fear of what the answer might be. Many seniors stay silent not because they don't notice the signs, but because they do. And it scares them. They think, what if it's something serious? And instead of facing that fear, they turn away from it. But as any doctor will tell you, the sooner you find something, the more options you have, the more power you keep. Waiting does not make illness go away. It makes it harder to treat. There is also the problem of isolation. Many seniors live alone. And when you're alone, there's no one to notice that you're sleeping more, or eating less, or walking slower. There's no one to say, you don't seem like yourself. And so these small warnings are missed, not just by doctors, but by everyone. According to the National Institute on Aging, nearly 28% of people aged 65 and older live alone. That's millions of people potentially missing vital signs without someone there to notice. So what can we do? First, we need to shift the way we talk about aging. Getting older does not mean becoming invisible. It does not mean ignoring symptoms or toughing them out. It means being more aware, more attentive, more proactive. Seniors need to know that their health concerns matter, that their words carry weight, that they are never a burden. Second, we must create safe spaces where older adults feel comfortable speaking up. This means doctors who listen fully, families who ask with care, communities that check in often. The more we make it okay to talk about these signs, the more likely we are to catch them early. Third, education matters. We need to keep spreading awareness about what symptoms should not be ignored. We need to say it clearly and often. Fatigue that won't go away, shortness of breath while doing simple tasks, chest discomfort that lingers, a racing or irregular heartbeat, fainting spells, swelling in the legs. These are not signs of aging. They are signs of the heart in distress. Lastly, to every senior reading or listening, please hear me. Your life is precious. Your time is valuable. You are not wasting anyone's time by speaking up. If something feels off, tell someone. Go get checked. You don't have to know what's wrong. You just have to say, "I don't feel quite right." That alone could be the sentence that saves your life. We live in a world where heart disease remains the #1 cause of death. Yet so many of those deaths could be prevented if we just listen to the body's early warnings. We don't need perfect health to live a full life, but we do need awareness, courage, and the willingness to act before it's too late. Let's not lose another life to silence. Let's break the cycle. Let's speak up, because every heartbeat matters, and every warning deserves to be heard.